guys, Long Haul Larry, and we're up here in the Yooper house. And today I am going to be working on the snow bike. I said this in a past video, the water pump was leaking. The weed pull on the bottom of the water pump. I have gotten the kit to repair this, and so I'm going to be working on this today. I did go out and try to ride this. It actually was not too bad. I didn't do very much anything strenuous, I guess. Just rode it real gentle. My brother and we had some 4 guys come from Iowa and stuff, and they came up here and we rode around. And I actually took a snowmobile. I thought that might be easier, and I just kind of sat on it and just kind of rode around. It was really nice. It was really fluffy snow and stuff. And we just kind of did logging roads and stuff because there was no base on it. And so, and I gave it a try, and it wasn't too bad. It didn't hurt me too much. I didn't like do anything crazy and roosting around and jumping or none. Just kind of drove around, kind of watched those guys. I just told the guys, I'm like, I'll go along, but I drove my own truck and trailer, and I'm like, I don't know how long I'm gonna hold out for. I also told them, when I got out there, I said, I'm just gonna be in the back and just hanging out. I'm not gonna be doing a ton. And so, and it was okay. It worked out okay, and wasn't too bad. And then I actually went out for a ride. Actually, I'll show a short video to show you guys how much snow there was. I didn't take a camera with me because I really didn't think I was going to be out there that long. But it was beautiful conditions. And I just shot some with my phone of my brother and another guy just playing around and stuff. And I'll show you guys that video real quick. Then the next day I went out with the snowbike and I tried that. And that was not too bad at all. It was actually better than the snowmobile. It's a dirt bike, and dirt bikes have a lot of suspension. And so it was not bad at all. The only thing I have to be very careful with is I can't pick up a snowmobile. I can't pick up the snow bike right now. So if it tips over or something like that, I'm done. I can't do it. So I had to be very careful with that and everything. So yeah, it was a good time, and it wasn't too strenuous. I think my back is healing up pretty good. It's not even close to being full yet or nothing. I think the bones are healed up and everything. I know they are. It's almost 6 months now, so the bones are good and healed up. It's just the problem with the muscles back there. I'm completely having to rebuild the muscles in my back. And so lifting things is not my forte. But, you know, as long as I take it very gentle, it's something I can't do a lot of, but once in a while, maybe just go out and play a little bit. I think I can handle. We'll see. And the thing is, I live up here, so if I'm out and getting a little bit sore, go home. You know, I'm right here. It's not like I'm driving 8 hours to go on a snowmobile trip and, I have to go snowmobiling or something. So, it's all right. So we're going to get started, work on this my snow bike. Get this thing all rigged up and ready to go. Let's get started. Okay, so we got the motor run for a while. About 5-10 minutes. It's nice and just warm. But you can see right here the problem is. Right there is the weep hole for the water pump. And you can see there's coolant. And when you run it and you just kind of sit and idle, it just drips real slowly. This is the problem, okay? So this is what we're going to be fixing here. So I got her warmed up. So next thing will be just pulling the plug and let the oil drain the oil. So like I said, it's just a 12 millimeter. Just pull this bolt out. What I want to do is I want to find something hard plastic to make myself a shield over this. There she goes. Whoop, I missed my bucket. We're just gonna drain the oil out of it. But I would like to find some kind of, not really a kick panel. This is like the kick panel that comes with it. It's supposed to protect the motor so that you don't hit something. It's not very, it's just a piece of plastic. But what I would like to do is find a hard piece of plastic to go over the front of this to stick out to like here to here. And to come down here so that when I'm going through all the deep snow and everything, not too much snow is just because it just piles up on this engine. And then the engine melts it, but it cools the engine off quite a bit. Oops, there we go. We're just gonna let that drain. So we got the oil all drained out. This is where the oil filter is. There's a long bolt in here, and then there's a smaller bolt in here. And the cover just pops off, and then the oil filter sits in here, and you just pull it out. It's pretty simple. Next thing I want to do is I want to get the coolant going. So I'm gonna get my oil jug out of the way. Kind of clean up my nice clean floor I got in here. I'll tell you right now that the paint, that special paint the guy talked Tracy into buying for this garage floor, yeah, it doesn't hold. It's peeling and everything else. So I'm just going to be pulling these hoses off of the water pump. And I'm just going to be draining the system. I kind of, what I did is I had this thing ready because I knew my brother was going to want to try it and stuff. I didn't think I'd be able to ride it. But I knew that because I've talked with this guy that we go snowmobiling out west with, and pretty tight little hose. There we go. And I knew they were going to want to ride it. I saw it was leaking, but it wasn't a big, it was just kind of a little drip, drip, drip. Wow. It's going everywhere. There we go. And so what I did is on the way to where I met these guys, I just stopped at a gas station and got a jug of coolant. But I actually didn't realize it, but I bought a jug of non-mixed coolant. So it was straight antifreeze. And I ended up putting that in there. There we go. There we go. I believe this is the drain plug right here. We could have just pulled that off. That would have made life a lot simpler, wouldn't it? Yeah. Probably the bolts are going to be different sizes, so you need to keep a close eye on that. Which bolts go in where. These have been all the same so far. Okay, the water pump bolts are all the same. I need to get a little hammer to tap on that to pull that, break that seal. Oh, there it goes. There she is. There's your water pump cover. And she's got a little dowel in here. I want to make sure that that dowel is there, that you don't lose that dowel. There's a gasket. Yeah, gasket's on there. And there is your impeller that spins, the engine runs. So now the next step is going to be pulling the Kickstarter, and I think it's this one, which is a 6mm. Yep, that's that one right there. PB Blaster, and I've just been tapping with a hammer. Just wiggle, 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 and there it is. So we will put some anti-seize on there. The shaft has some rust on it, which is understandable. It's out in the snow and everything like this. That is totally understandable. That's the same. Oh, the cover is loose. See it just wiggle? And there we go. This is the part right here where we need to rebuild. This right here. Now we gotta look for our dowels. So it looks like there's a dowel here and a dowel here. I want to make sure those are still in there. And this is the water jacket. It's got an O-ring on it. That lines that up. So there we go. All right, so here's a side case cover off the motor. And this is the water pump right here. And you can see right here is the weep hole where it's leaking. Well, what's happening is there's two seals. There's this inner seal and an outer seal on the outside here that's leaking. So we need to get this impeller off, okay? So what you want to do is, it's a 13 millimeter. It's a little bit loose, but it's all right. You want to fit down on the bottom of this impeller shaft. It's square up on the top here, but do not put a small wrench up on top of here. You'll snap this off. So make sure you get a wrench down on the bottom. Okay? And then on the other side, on the impeller itself, there is a nut on here. That's part of the impeller. And you basically just want to hold it. Put this down here on the... And you just want to break that loose. I think I got it. Yep. So once you get that broken loose, you can just spin the impeller off. Right there. And you got yourself a little shim there. Keep that with the impeller. And then the shaft will just push out. Right there you go. So we want to look at this shaft right here. Make sure it's not too worn. It does have some wear marks on it, but I'm gonna see if it'll seal. I think it'll be fine. It doesn't have deep grooves. You can't feel them with your fingernail, but there's worn where the little rubber gaskets are leaking. So we're gonna try it, and if it doesn't work, then I'll have to get a new impeller shaft, but I know I'll have to order that. They won't have it in stock. So right here's the seal. And I'm just gonna use a screwdriver. And it just pops out. Now you have to kind of look at this because a seal usually has an inner and an outer. And the inner on this one is solid. And the outer has like a groove on it with a spring on the inside of here. So that part will go to the outside. And now to get that other part out, sorry, I just made the camera wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Just like so. Let's wiggle back and forth. Let's go back and forth, and just lightly tapping, nothing extreme, just a little tap, tap. and that's going to pop the inner seal out right here. And these do not, this one here, you can see it. It has the same thing, inner and an outer, okay? And the outer is gonna go this way. And then here's your bearing. Okay, and we're gonna check the bearing. Bearing is good. No grittiness, no, nice and real smooth. And that's what's happening, is there's a seal that goes on the inside here and a seal on the outside. And if you look, there's a little hole right in the center there, and that's where your weep hole is. And if that leaks, that's telling you that those seals are not sealing. So we're gonna clean all this up, and then we're going to reassemble. Okay, so this is the water pump repair kit. This is made from K&S Technologies, and their part number here is 75-4007. And you can see this is for a Yamaha yz450f 2010 to 2013. So this is a 2013 bike. So this is the seals right here that we need. And then this is going to be a new gasket for the water pump, and then a new gasket that goes around this whole cover. And be careful, because there is a little rubber seal right here that goes on the bottom for the oil filter assembly, so that the oil goes back into the engine, I think. That would be that for. And then you got your dowel right here. Okay, so get this back in here. What I'm going to do, not sure what this O-ring goes for. We'll check it out. Okay, so the inner one, it's going to go right down in there. And it just pretty much presses in there. Just like so. All right, so now what we need to do is put this back, this bearing back in here on the inside. And what we can do is we can just use a socket, and you just want a socket that's going to be the exact same size as the bearing. What you want to do is when you tap this bearing back in, you want to make sure that you're pressing on the outside of it. So you can just use a socket here. This is a 21 millimeter, seems to fit on there. Sockets are different thicknesses, so it's kind of hard for me to say that. You know, use that socket, but you just want a socket that's going to be the same size. Just get that on there. You can hear the difference right there. Hear that? That ting noise? That means it's seated. I'm just going to give it a little tap all the way around. And there you go. Now your bearing's back in there. Okay. So now I'm going to put grease in there so that that seal has, because it spins on a rubber seal. And so you want to make sure that it has something to lubricating in there. So I'm just gonna put some grease in there. Just like so. And this is a really good shot right here that you can see why this leaks. and you can see the inner seal that's inside there, and you can see that little hole that's down in the side there, down in the bottom. That's your weep hole. That's where it leaks out. So you have that seal that's on the inside. Now I'm going to put the seal that's on the outside, and that little weep hole is going to be between them. So if those seals go bad in the future, or if this impeller shaft here gets too worn and it leaks, then it will leak out of there, and it will give you a telltale sign. Hey, you got coolant leaking out of this little hole. This is what it is. It's not that big a deal. So I'm going to put some grease on the inside of this one. Just like so. There we go. As simple as that. I should not have to hammer these in. These come out pretty easy. There we go. So now we want to put our shaft back in there and put just a little bit of grease on here. Just be proactive. Just like so. And we'll just slip our shaft back through and kind of spin it as you do it. You don't want to pop the seal back out. There you go. Clean that up. This heater is really hot right here, standing right here. The heater is right next to me. It really blows in there. There we go. So now we have our shim. Put that back on there. And then this is going to be for our impeller. Now I'm going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on these threads before I go putting it on there. Just gonna put a little dab, just a little tiny bit. Got my spacer on there. And then I looked it up, and this is supposed to be torqued to 10 foot-pounds. So, 10 foot-pounds. Let's see, I kind of want to put it this way. It's not much. Just like so. And there we go. Make sure it spins. Oh yeah. It's nice now. And there we go. So I can put this all back together. I'm going to clean up the surface. All right. So we got the surface all clean here. And I'm just going to put a little bit of grease on here, and that will help hold the gasket in place. There is some dowel pins that help hold it there too, but just to keep it there. And I found out where that little thing goes. It's right here. It's the collar that goes where the coolant comes out of the engine and goes into the water pump. Goes through this jacket. That's where that little O-ring was on. It was on there. So I put the new O-ring on there. Put a little bit of grease on there. So now we can put the new gasket on. Sometimes I make these things so hard to get out. All right, looks like this direction. Right. Can't go there, can't go there. I guess it's right here. And there's a little rubber O-ring. It's a pretty thick O-ring. This is the return off the oil pump. It goes right into there. Make sure that's lined up. So make sure this gasket is sitting where it's supposed to be. Go. Now, if we look, the shaft on the water pump has a flat spot on it. And if we look inside there, we kind of get in, I guess, how it's sitting in there, kind of. It looks to be about like that angle. We want to get it in there, and we don't want to push hard on it. There it is. There we go. So now we can put all our bolts back in. All right, so I'm gonna put our oil filter. I've had it pre-soaking in some oil. I like to do that. But the filter is already lubricated up with oil, otherwise it's a dry filter. Take a little bit. So, the cover on there. Long bolt one at the top. Go. All right. I'm just gonna put just a little bit of grease on the surface just to hold the gasket into place. I got my 2 pins, but this makes it better. Well, if I can get it even putting on a pin there. Boy, that's tight going over that guide pin. There it goes. There we go. I'm going to put a little bit of grease up inside the hoses, make it easier to get on there. So it'll be easier to do right now. There we go, just like that. There it is. Perfect. Well, guys, the bike is all ready to go. I have refilled it with oil. Takes it says like 0.9 without the oil change, without a filter change, like 1 with a filter change, and like 1.2 quarts with or total or whatever. I put in like 1.1, haven't fired it up yet. I have put coolant all into it, and I've kind of cranked it over a few times, just kicked it over a few times just to get the impeller turning, and let it, and it all burped, it all went down and stuff, and I refilled it, and I've been just letting it sit. But I need to fire it up because I know that that bully dog thing, this thing right here, I keep talking about it, and it's this right here. And what this does, it's kind of like a thermostat. And what it does is for snow bikes like this, you get this set up, and then what happens is the engine will run a temperature and it will get warm. And when the engine gets warm, then it opens and then it lets the coolant go. But then if the engine cools down, that closes down. And that way it keeps the engine warm. Because otherwise with snow biking, you get all the snow and cold and everything, and these engines just do not run warm enough. And I've seen some guys on YouTube where they have petcock valves down here, they shut them and close them and everything else, and it's a pain in the butt. This thing does it automatically. I do not have a temperature gauge on this bike, and I had to go get an oil filter for it, and I was down there and I said something to the guy, and we looked it all up, and we actually found one for $49. And I think that it goes on the spark plug. We couldn't really figure it out, but it said the size of the plug. It was a 10 millimeter or a 12 millimeter. And I'm like, I don't know. And so he looked up the plug size, and sure enough, the plug was 10 millimeter. And he's like, I think it does. So I think he just put this wire on over the spark plug, put the spark plug in, and it seemed to be really thin. So I don't think it's going to change the gap or nothing, but you put it in there and stuff, and then it goes up, and there's going to be a little digital readout that's going to be up on the handlebars, and that will give me a digital readout of the temperature of the engine. So I can kind of keep an eye on that and stuff, because there's no way to keep an eye on it right now. But I got her all back together, and look at this thing I made. I made this here because one of the big problems with this, I was running the other day, I tried this thing out, and like I said, it was just calm things. I didn't go crazy with it. And actually, this thing was nice because it has so much suspension. But it wasn't too bad. I just went out for a little bit. And the one big thing about it is when you're in a lot of powder, the snow flies up and just packs in around the engine and cools it. And the one thing it does is it packs snow all around in this area. And sometimes your boots can't get on there. And so they sell these things. It's kind of like a skid plate, but it's just kind of for snowboard or snow biking. And they go up over there and they cover the whole front of it so the snow doesn't pile up inside here. And I was talking to the guy about it, and they didn't have anything like that. They said I could order one, blah, blah, blah. And I started thinking about it, and I said, you know what, dude? How about like a toboggan or something? I'll just cut it up. And he's like, that'll work. And so I went to Walmart, and I couldn't find any toboggans. But what I did find is a garbage can. And I cut up the garbage can. I think I would like to have it a little wider, but it works for now. And so I have that attached on there, and it's all pop riveted up on there and stuff. And I think it's going to help. We're going to give this a try, and we're going to see if that deflects the snow around from where your feet are. You can't have it sticking out too far because your boots got to get up underneath the shifter and everything. But maybe up on the top it can stick out wider. I'm not really sure. But that's as wise as I get out of that garbage can. It was the cheapest garbage can. It was like $7.88 or something like that at Walmart. So I put that on there. So now I got this thing all ready to go. And look at this. You know about these. I wired up a headlight on it. I have it wired into the positive wire, so when the bike runs, the light should be on. Haven't tried it yet, but it's the same one that we put on all the ADL trucks. I had 3 of them here for putting on my tractor, and I just haven't gotten to it. And I grabbed one and I said, there you go. Because that day I did go out with those guys. I wasn't riding it that day. I tried a snowmobile. I thought it'd be easier. And other guys were riding it, and it started to get dark out. And I was like, we better get back. We better get back. He kept saying it. I'm like, this thing has no headlight. And on the way back, we had to run the trail just for a little bit. And the guy was running down the trail with no headlight. You know, if we would have came up to another snowmobile, that would have been bad. So I just stuck one of those LED lights on there just to put it on there. Just in case you get stuck out there, you know, you don't want to be out at night. But just in case, you know, then you do have a light. So I got everything all ready to go. So now basically what I got to do is I got to fire the thing up, run it for a little bit, and then shut it off, check the oil. There is no dipstick on these. These things are kind of weird. I don't like it how they do this, but that's actually a sight glass right there where my finger is, a little round deal back here. And what you do is you run the engine. See, right now it's empty. And you run the engine for a couple minutes, and then you shut it off. And if that's full of oil, you're good. Is that weird? I mean, just put a dipstick on here. I don't know. Whatever. So it's done. And so we're going to run it just for a little bit. I put like 1.1 quarts in. I thought that, because we had the side case off, so most of the oil came out of there, and I figure 1.1 would be about the max. So we got that all under, so I got to run it, do that, and then I got to run it up to 10, and then I'll shut it off, check the oil. Then I'll fire back up again and run it so the engine gets warm, so that valve opens up on the other side, lets coolant all throughout the engine, and then that will that'll burp all the antifreeze and everything else. I got this bag mounted on there. I actually just took the nameplate off, didn't see a need to have it. So now I got a nice bag here. It's actually got 2 compartments. You can open that one up, or otherwise you can open the bigger one up. And nice compartments to hold stuff. I'll probably end up putting my BCA radio in there, and then have it wrapped around and have the mic sitting right here on the handlebars so that you can call that. I like doing that kind of stuff instead of having it on me. So there we go. So time to fire this thing up. It's gonna work. You see the headlight? Come on. Ooh, that worked. All right, she's ran for a little bit. We'll check the oil. So shut her off. And you can see that little, it's kind of hard for you to see because the light's so bright. But that little black hole right there, see how there's oil in there? That means it's full. Good to go. So we'll check the antifreeze again. I really like how this is turning out. This is coming out nice. Oh yeah, she's low. She sucks some in. Well, there we go, guys. Snowbike is all done. I burped it twice, and the antifreeze is holding. So we are good to go. She is ready to rock. I've actually sent the video off to my boss. I mess around with the boss's bike out there, and I told him, I said, wait, you can come here and ride my bike. I also sent a message to John. I told John, I said, get your butt up here and try this thing. I think that would be the most hilarious thing watching John. So, it was so funny. His legs are so short. I think it would be hysterical. But I told those guys, you need to get up here and try this thing. But she is ready to rock. I'm actually going to be pulling outside. I got some other projects that I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to let you guys go. I hope that everybody out there is having themselves a great day, great night as they watch this here video. And if you're not, we'll just try that all over again tomorrow. Catch you later. See ya.